Are you having a hard time trying to choose between the LX series and the L series? Well, today I'm going to show you the differences between the LX2620 and the L2502. Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota Lynchburg, and today I wanted to show you the differences between the L2502 and the LX2620. There are a lot of similarities between the two tractors, but also a ton of differences. So I wanted to point out those features and why you might want to purchase one versus the other, depending on what your project or your property is. Because while they may be very similar, they do have really two different purposes and applications. So the main thing you can probably see from standing there, looking there, is the LX2620 is a slightly smaller tractor. Now, not by much. They're pretty similar, standing side by side, height of the hood, height of the seats, and everything like that. It is a slightly smaller tractor. Now, while it may be smaller, it definitely weighs a lot less, and it weighs a lot less on purpose. So this tractor probably weighs a little more than 1,100 pounds less. Or less than 1,100 pounds than the L2502. This is a solid, heavy-duty 25 horsepower tractor, where this is a lighter 25 horsepower tractor on purpose, so when you're taking it across the grass and yards and mulch areas and everything like that, you're not ripping it up as bad. Or if you have to transport it on a trailer, it's a little easier on your truck or on your lighter duty trailer. So first thing I like to mention is weight of machine. Talking about like with the loader and fluid-filled tires, over 4,000 pounds. With this, you're probably around the 3,000 pound range with loader and fluid-filled tires on it. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these two. The weight is a big difference. Now, I normally like to go from the front and work my way back on these tractor videos. So we'll talk loaders. You can see similar loaders, and the numbers are very similar. You've got an LA526 and an LA545, or a 535. You can get either loader on them, same loader, which the numbers are very similar, which means their rated lift capacitors are very similar. Now, we have done testing on these two loaders. This loader, this 526 loader on the L series, will pick up a couple 100 pounds more than the loader on this tractor. And the reason being that I think is the actual counterweight and the weight of the tractor when you're picking up is, greater on the L2502, so you don't have as much counterweight picking this one up. You can also, when you're looking at the small details, you can see actually the cylinder diameters and everything like that are a little bit smaller. Your loader arms are a little bit closer on the LX2620. You just have a smaller loader frame. Again, this one comes up to about here on me, whereas this loader frame is all the way up here. So it's a bigger physical, larger frame, so it's able to handle a little bit more weight. So if you're worried about lift capacity, the L2502 might be the way to go because it will physically pick up a little bit more. It comes standard with a 66-inch bucket, whereas this comes standard with a 60-inch bucket at 5 foot, so a little bit smaller bucket because it can't lift quite as much. Now the buckets are still quick attach, universal. You can put pallet forks and grapples and everything like that on either of these. Now, one thing you might notice, this one has a load level indicator on it standard. That's normal for these because this is a more deluxe, comfortable tractor. That's an option on the L2502. Both will have grill guards that come with the loader. Both are going to have metal hoods. The hoods open up different ways. As we get to the hoods, I'll talk engine horsepower. While they're both rated at 24.8 engine horsepower, there's no emissions regulations on these because they're under that 25 horsepower range, which is why they're rated 24.8. This one does have about 30% more displacement on the engine. So basically, it means you get more power, more torque, more oomph out of the same horsepower engine because it's physically a larger engine underneath the hood of here. Even though it's putting out the same amount of horsepower, the displacement is different. So again, power, heavier duty, this tractor. Deluxe features, comfort, this tractor. So that's the underneath the hood, no emissions, simple 25 horsepower engine. As we go back, you can kind of see as we're walking through, the tires are a little bit bigger on the L2502, especially the rear tires. What that means is more traction, but also you can fit more fluid in these rear tires. So again, the heavier tractor, when these are fluid filled, they weigh more. But you have a ton of different tire options between the two models. They have the same tire options, the R4s, the R14s, the agriculturals, the turfs, the whole 9 yards. The other thing I want to look when we're here at the front of the tractor is your front axles. Again, talking about how heavy duty, how well they are made. This L series, the L2502, very thick, heavy duty front axle. Cast steel, beefy, designed to take it and abusing. The LX, on the other hand, much smaller. I can wrap my fingers around it much easier, A little bit lighter duty front axle, again, to keep that weight down. And it's not as heavy duty, not as robust or built because it's not designed for as much heavy duty work as this. I will say this LX series, unless you get the SU model, so if you're getting the standard model, it has a mid PTO shaft. That's why they keep this tractor light. So you can run a belly mower on this tractor, so you can get a 60 or 72 inch mid-mount belly mower, sitting right where I'm standing, and you can cut your grass with it. So that's great. This tractor can cut the grass. It can be a tractor with the loader. It can have all the implements on the rear, and it can maintain your grass all in one. But that means it's a little bit more deluxe. It means the price point goes up, but that's why they keep the weight of this tractor down on purpose so it doesn't mess up your yard when you're cutting grass. Some other deluxe features, we'll get to the operator station here. So if I sit on this L2502 first, it does have a rubber floor mat, and it does have an adjustable suspension seat, which is nice, so I could adjust the suspension seat here. But notice no armrests. It's kind of a bucket seat. It's not a tilt seat or anything like that. You have this big hunk of metal here in between your feet. You really get used to it. You never really notice it once you get used to it that it's there, but it is an obstacle in your way. You still have a hydrostat treadle pedal here, but you have a solid steering column. I'm pointing out all these things that are going to be different on the LX when I go sit on that one, but solid steering column, it doesn't tilt. You got the big hump here. The nice thing is you do have electronic PTO on this tractor now, so you do have your PTO to turn your implements on and off. It used to be a manual engage lever, but now it's electronic, so that is nice, which is the same thing as the, well, it's not really the same thing, but it's easy like the LX2620 is. So that's one pro to this L2502. Your loader controls are forward in front of you, which some people like, some people don't like. You have to kind of, again, I have no armrest here, so your arm is sitting up the whole time. You don't have a way to sit your armrest down and run it if you're doing a lot of loader controls. It is forward in front of you, and it makes getting on and off of this side of the tractor difficult. You also only have, I'm wrong, you have two grab handles. I forgot they updated that on the L2502. Good, you've got both grab handles, so you don't have to worry about that. 3-range hydrostat transmission on this tractor, or a 8-speed forward, 4-speed reverse gear drive transmission. So one of the options on this L2502 is 2 different transmission styles where the gear drive will be cheaper and you actually have a clutch and shifting and everything like that. Or the most common, more popular option is this hydrostat 3-range hydrostat transmission. Does not standard have cruise control on it. You have the option to put cruise control right here, but it's not standard on this tractor. So if I get off this tractor and kick this metal hump in the middle as I do it, just kidding, it really doesn't bother me anymore. We're going to sit on the LX2610 or 2620. And the first thing you notice is going to be you have a nicer seat. So you can adjust the back of the seat forward and back for whatever size you are, whatever comfort level you want it to be. You can also bring your armrest down. And now I've got my loader controls right here, not in front of me. I can sit here with my armrest and run my loader controls and sit it back down, and it's very comfortable. Also, the next thing you're going to notice is you have tilt steering column. So I got on, I get off, I can do this and set it to whatever position I want it to, whatever's comfortable for me as I'm using the tractor, whatever size I am, a very comfortable tractor. Also, I have more of an open floor plan. That big metal hump is now gone. So I can slide the seat forward and back. I can kind of move my feet easier in between here. There's a little bit more open floor space here, and it's got kind of this ridge that goes up and protects your feet from either wind or dirt or debris kicking back from your front tires. Again, still forward and reverse pedal right here. It's still a 3-range hydrostat, but now on these you actually have cruise control. So I could lock in, if the tractor was running, I could lock, you can see this pedal is locked forward. I can lock in my cruise control or turn it off. So that's a standard feature, like a lot of other nice features on here. Now your PTO engagement is not electronic on this one. It is a lever, but it's very easy to get to. It's just going to be pushing right there. And that's the PTO engagement, turn on and off. So realistically, it's not much different. It's still very easy to turn on and off, whether you're mid-mount mower or your bush hog on this tractor. Same as far as raising and lowering your 3-point hitch to it. It's a very smooth operation, smooth controlled tractor, I'll word it that way. The L2502 is great, but this is very smooth. You also have a different display, covered in pollen right now, but you have a little bit more of a digital dash display here. So you've got more features and everything. Hold on, let me stick a key in this thing and show you guys. So you've got more feedback at your fingertips. You've got your glow plugs there. If you're starting to overheat, oil sensors, fuel gauges, temperature sensors, how fast you're going, or your RPMs. You can select right here between your RPMs on your mid or rear PTO, so you can see what your RPMs are there. So basically a little bit more information at your fingertips, where on the L2502, it's a much more basic, old school style. Here's your temperature, here's your RPMs, and here's your fuel gauge, and that's it. There's no more information to it. So if you're a small property homeowner and you like a little bit more information and feedback because you're not used to running a tractor, this LX2620 is probably going to be the way to go for you. Now, if you look at the back of these tractors, this is also, ignore all the pollen and dust again, this is a little bit more deluxe of a 3-point hitch. It's a little bit lighter duty, but you do have telescoping stabilizers back here, which does make it a little bit easier to hook and unhook your implements with your telescoping style. You also have a little bit more tucked away drawbar to it, but you can see your rear axle back here. Your transmission housing and rear axle is small and light duty. Again, it's kind of, I don't want to say pitiful looking, it's designed that way, it's on purpose, but when you compare that to your L2502, this big beefy cast steel rear axle, big drawbar coming out, really thick arms and everything here. Your stabilizers are on the outside so you can easier reach in. Again, this is more of a workhorse. It might be a little bit more difficult to hook up, but you can be more rugged and you can beat it up a little bit easier. Now, if you're going to be gentle on your equipment, you're just going to be cutting the grass and doing the equation, the loader work, maybe pulling a small implement, and you want it to be lightweight, more comfortable, and easier to use, the LX2620 is going to be the way to go. People always ask pricing on these videos. It changes depending on tire options and everything like that. But realistically, you're probably going to be within $2,000 to $3,000 of each other, so maybe a 10% difference on these two tractors. Not that big of a difference when you look at pricing. So look into the details on which one's going to suit your needs better. You want a little bit more of a bulldozer, heavy-duty workhorse, get the L2502. You want something a little bit more comfortable, a little bit lighter and less damaging on your property, a little bit easier to use, take a look at the LX2620. So if you have any questions or I didn't answer anything, just leave me a comment below.